And people love their rock music so much because it has emotional ties and feelings that come up within your system. And it's addictive like a drug. And they become very defensive if you challenge that. I remember someone I knew years ago, and they said they were a Christian person, deeply believed in God and stuff like that. But they were simultaneously entrenched extremely deep into rock music. It was embedded in their psyche. And the problem is, when you challenged them on that or brought it up, they became extremely defensive. Especially, I remember I was like, hey, do you know what that song's really about? You're singing this song, and it's about the dark side. And they became very defensive about that. They didn't want to think about it. So even for Christian people, this entrenchment of this music industry in a time of deception can be used. And we know that. Look at the whole hippie culture from the 1960s and 70s. Look at the punk rock movement. Look at the goth movement. And then look at gangster rap. How many lives has that destroyed? How many people have gotten shot or killed over the implantation and the image of all that stuff? And it turns out that it was orchestrated. Have you ever seen those videos where people try to speak out? Eventually, they break their programming. I can't say the name of that on this platform because the same people control this platform as controlling the music industry. Excuse the noise, I'm going by some trucks here. So anyway, have you ever seen the videos of these people when their programming breaks down? Their mind programming breaks down and they suddenly realize what they've been put into, the things that are happening to them, types of trauma. And they try to speak out. And they try to tell the world, hey, look, this is going on. And immediately someone grabs them up. The news comes out and says, look how they've gone crazy. What happened to them? Are they on drugs? And the next thing, they disappear for a while. And their handlers pick them up. Remember the whole Free Britney Spears thing and all that? Of course, she was taken through the whole, look how many come out of Disney. That's weird. Starting back in the 1950s. Weird stuff going in there. Anyway, I can't tell you about that either here. You can look into it. So these people are using these celebrities, including sports. Now, here's a question for you. Sports was introduced. I did a video on this recently, and I talk about it in the book as well. Sports was introduced to those not on the inside. And people believe that sports is just something that people go and play, and they don't even think that maybe someone created a Roman Colosseum for modern times to keep people so entrenched and to take out their world frustration, all the stuff in this time of deception, and funnel it into watching sports, to take what they might feel angry or violent or take action or even get involved in politics or whatever might go on. They funneled it into sports. And I have seen the people who control the sports on hot mics and different things say that they invented it and that they don't watch sport at all. Their kids don't get involved in sports. They use it as a way to keep you distracted so you don't get involved in things to stop their world domination and takeover. While you're watching sports, what they say is probably about 9 years of the average person will spend watching sports. They will end up spending 8 hours a day, equivalent 9 years of their life. They'll sit watching basketball, watching football, and expending money, gambling, whatever. But they don't even realize it's addictive because there's so many of their friends. And this includes really wealthy people. People who went to college and now they're millionaires and they're so involved in their UVA games or Florida State or whatever. They don't even realize that they're entrapped in the system too. They think just everybody. It's normal now. Sports was invented to take the American man from his state of oppression, from taxes, from being angry at politics, from all the things that are going on in life, where he's been made to feel helpless, and funnel it into a game where nothing ever gets changed. All that energy, all that tribal instinct, all that protective stuff, instead of protecting the future generations, instead of protecting their children, instead of protecting and making a better society, try to invent something nowadays. Ask yourself a question. If you were to invent some kind of free energy device, a health device, anything that I remember back in the 1970s, where if you invented something, it was praised, the idea of somebody inventing something that could help someone. And you were encouraged for certain things like that. Now look at what the reality of certain things is. I saw a guy who invented a motor that would run on water. He proved it, he showed it, he made a video about it. A couple weeks later, what do you think happened to him? That's right, he was no longer around. Then there was a ex-police officer recently, a couple years ago. He also invented a motor that would run on water, hydrogen engine, and it actually would put out, the exhaust that came out was actually cleaner than the air that went in. He mysteriously died shortly after as well. So we went from a system where it was encouraged to benefit humanity and progress into the future and help each other out, to a place now of a time of deception. And whoever these people are, the minions of these fallen angels, the minions of these, it's really against all the principles of Christ, who promoted good and helping each other out and community. And we see it being isolated and focused onto a centralized group of people striving for world domination and power. And I say it's being done while they simultaneously claim to be a victim. Victim narcissism is what it's called, where you believe both you're a victim of the world and you're also greater, smarter, and deserve to be the leader of the world. And no matter what, you can do anything you want to get into positions of power. That is victim narcissism on a grand scale. So music has been used against us. That's a fact. Sports are being used. That is a trigger that even deeply religious Christians will tune out right away. When I mention sports in my videos, they can't take that. But that's their issue. Sports, politics is the next one. We are taught, especially the word freedom. Now, I'm not sure whether Americans have been totally free ever. We certainly strived for it in younger days of America. And perhaps there was a time when there was lots of inventions and people started farms and went different places. There was a time of freedom. I believe that. But now we're taught, embedded, bombarded since school, on the news, talking about America the free. But America has more attorneys than any other country in the world. We have more laws than any other country in the world. We have more people incarcerated in prisons than any other country in the world.